6-hour-old baby is being taken away by social workers from his mother. It is a forced adoption, and this is footage the social workers never wanted you to see.
Would you calm down if someone stole your child?
Britain is the only country in Europe which commonly allows adoption without parental consent.
Adoption is for good, and as soon as we can place a child in a loving home permanently, better for all concerned.
The government's new Children and Families Act is likely to increase the number of cases.
Those who've been social workers for a long time went into social work primarily to support families. The reality now is that they are almost exclusively involved in child protection. And that is a major policy change.
An increasing number of mothers are so frightened they are fleeing abroad, helped by an unofficial network of supporters.
Over in France here, they do not believe me when I tell them that they can take children for emotional abuse, let alone risk of it.
It is now harder than ever for families which need help to stop their children being forcibly adopted.
It's a very, very worrying picture, because it means that we're just going to continue on this trend towards permanent removal of children.
This is a film about the heartbreak of losing a child and the added pain of the secrecy that surrounds it. Last year, 1,860 children in Britain were adopted without parental consent. It's called forced adoption. The decisions are final. The parents cannot see their child until 18 years of age, and then only if the child wishes. This father had already lost his older children to adoption because he and his wife couldn't cope without support. The decision to take this child was made by the courts before he was even born.
It was a home birth, pretty easy. I held my son. One of the midwives went outside and got on the phone to social services to tell them that there's now a baby boy.
Within just a few hours of the birth, social workers arrived.
Outside the door there was, I think there was 5 or 6 child protection policemen and women trying to convince us to hand over our newborn son. I came in, I put the webcam on to record then.
He secretly filmed social services actions from this point.
I was hoping it would go viral and people would show it all over the internet, hoping that someone will listen. They start drilling the locks out and the whole flat seemed to vibrate. My son starts crying because there's a really loud vibration sound. And then the policeman comes in.
If you're proud of yourself, what's the danger? What is the danger?
There was no suggestion the baby was in imminent danger, but social services obtained a court order to remove him because they said he could be at risk of future harm.
Where is the danger?
They're just saying they've got an order, they've got to follow it, they have to follow their orders. So you feel there's nothing you can do to stop it. You feel powerless, useless, you know, worthless.
Asher, I need to take Jack, okay?
Why do you?
So, can you pass him to me, please?
Can you what?
Oh, you're not
helping. I'm trying to help. I'm trying to help my wife to protect my son from you lot. Calm down. Get your hair off, alright? You're assaulting my wife now.
No physical contact.
Yes, you are. Come on, please. Look at you.
As soon as I got the baby out the flat.
Would you calm down if someone stole your child?
Goodbye. Leave you to it. All I could do was hold my wife, you know.
Within an hour of social workers leaving, he posted the webcam footage of his son's removal online. In doing so, he risked imprisonment, as the details of child proceedings must be kept secret in order to protect the identity of the child. Parents are not allowed to tell anyone what's happening to them, and the media is forbidden from reporting any details. Martha Cover has specialised in child law for 25 years and believes there have been incidences where the law on secrecy has been taken too far.
The purpose of the legislation that protects the confidentiality of children's proceedings and the identity of children and their families is to protect them. But by a side wind, it's had the effect of also protecting poor local authority practice, poor social work, and inadequate experts and poor expert reporting to the courts.
Local authorities are required to ensure a child's identity is protected in family court proceedings. In this father's case, within days of posting his video, Staffordshire County Council started High Court proceedings against him.
Staffordshire County Council, their response was to get it pulled off the internet as quick as possible. It just feels like an injustice. They just reach into your life and take it all away. And then they're telling me to be quiet about it.
This secret filming proved to be a game changer. In an extraordinary ruling last summer, the president of the family division, Sir James Munby, refused the injunction to silence the father. He said the veil of secrecy had gone too far. Martha Cover believes the ruling means that the local authorities can no longer assume their actions are protected from public scrutiny.
This is the judgment of the president of the family division, Sir James Munby, which refused the injunction sought by Staffordshire Council. And in fact, he was completely satisfied that allowing the father to do this would not risk identifying the child. So what he said was, "I simply fail to see how naming the local authority, the social workers, the local authority's legal representatives, or the children's guardian, or even all of them, can in any realistic way be said to make it likely that J, who is the baby, will be identified, even indirectly. The risk is merely fanciful."
The parents have now had final contact with their baby. This landmark ruling has given them a voice. We asked Staffordshire Council why they wanted to stop the father's webcam filming being seen and whether the method of the son's removal was necessary. They did not respond specifically to these points, but they did say that placing a child into care is an absolute last resort, and it was the courts and not the council which make the final decision based on significant concern for the welfare of the child.
We are moving rather rapidly, in my opinion, away from doing everything that is feasible and reasonably to be expected to keep children within their family of origin and moving to adoption very rapidly. And it's borne out by the statistics which are produced by the Department of Education. There's been a 95% increase in the number of court orders which are required in order to allow a local authority to place a child for adoption in the last 3 years.
There is generally a concern that in the wake of Baby P, loving families all over the UK are suffering as we strive to protect our children at any cost.
It is a climate of fear, a climate where people cover their backs, a climate where people want to try and do their best by families, but also know that they've got to play this game safe for them as an organisation, safe for them as a worker, not just safe for the child.